What is happening right now in France? Europe, elections, Macron, far right, dissolution, an even slap in the face. Bonjour, it's Théo. Welcome to Spill the French Tea. This is our Sunday series where we talk about French people, French culture, and all the drama around it. And today we have a lot of drama to discuss about. As you already know it, this episode is like a podcast, so you can just grab a coffee or go do your dishes or go having a walk and listen to this video playing in the background. In today's video, I want to talk about the political context in France right now. I don't usually talk about politics on my social media, but many people ask to learn more about what is happening in France right now, how it works. So I'm gonna make a video to explain you what are the problems, all the things that are happening in France this month. At the beginning of June, we had the European elections. So people were asked to vote for the European Parliament to elect the député. We call it député in France, the people that are elected. It's not like electing a president. There is not just one winner. You vote for a political list, a political party, and if the list has more than 5% in your country, they will have some seats in the parliament. And if you have more than 5%, you will have more seats. It's like proportional. So it was the election for the Europe Parliament in the beginning of June. And the big surprise was that the number one political party in France in the election was the Rassemblement National. This is the far-right political party. It's surprising because usually it's not an extremist party that is on top. It's usually a list that is more nuanced, more moderated, Macron's list or the left or the right, but not the far right. So it was a big shock for many people, but the biggest shock was that 50% of people in France didn't go to vote. They did the abstention, they didn't go voting at the beginning of June. And this is the biggest shame, I think. It's such a shame to see so many people that are not connecting anymore to the political context of their country. It's really sad to see that. And it creates a problem where the people that are going to vote are just the extremists. So we have parties at the top that are not nuanced at all. And we can't be a complete democracy when 50% of people are not going to vote. Like, we need to change something about that. I don't know how to change it, but we need to change something. Seeing the far right at the top was a big shock also for Macron, Emmanuel Macron, the French president, which is not in the far right but more in the center right. It was a big shot for him, and he took a decision. He did something really weird as a president, something that he was not obliged to do. It was not mandatory to do that after the election because Europe is not the French government. He decided to do a dissolution, to dissolve the Assemblée Nationale, the parliament. So in 2 weeks, we will have to vote again for new députés, new elected people in the parliament. Why is it a problem? How does it work? I will give you a little context about the system in France. In France, we have two chambers. We have the Senate and the Assemblée Nationale. The Senate is not elected directly by the people, by us, but we are electing the députés in the Assemblée Nationale, the National Assembly. And it's the people that are doing all the laws, like they are voting the laws. In France, we have a president, but also a prime minister that is the head of the government. The president will be the face of the country, but the prime minister, who can change also more often than the president, will be the head of the government, and he will put in action with his government the politics of the president. But there is a typical rule in France. It's that the prime minister has to be from the political party that has the majority of people elected in the parliament. So in 2 weeks, when we're gonna vote for new elected people, like new députés, if the party of Macron, the party of the president, is not in majority, we will have a different prime minister that is not from Macron political family. It's called a cohabitation, a co-living. It's when the president is not from the same political party as the prime minister. And usually it doesn't work that much because everyone is just slowing down each other so nobody can govern perfectly. So you make me think why Macron decided to dissolve the Assemblée Nationale, to do a dissolution. Why? Because it's a big risk for him to not have the majority anymore in the parliament, to not be able to vote his own laws. This is extremely weird. Nobody understands that. His political party was not at the top at the Europe election, but he has nothing to do about that. He doesn't have to do a dissolution. When he decided to do that, everybody was shocked because the big risk is that he won't have the majority of the parliament and that the far right, who was at the top in Europe will be the new majority and will have a far-right prime minister. And nobody is understanding why Macron did this choice. We have some hypotheses about that. Some people, some journalists think that Macron wants to put the far right in the government, like with the prime minister, to show to people that they won't be able to govern and they will be like not skilled enough, because the far right has never been in the power to govern the country. But it's such a weird risk to take. Like you're gonna put your competitor at the top to show that he is not good enough. So many things could happen, so many bad things could happen, especially with an extremist political party. You can't imagine what they're gonna do. This is really surprising for a president to do a choice like that, to do a decision like that, and everyone is lost. Like if Macron is not winning in the parliament in the new elections for the député, if his political party is not in the majority of people elected, he will be weak as a president, like he won't have all the power he wants. So this is weird to do that and to put himself in this type of position. I don't know. I'm not in his mind, but I don't understand that. And also, the possibility of having the far right at the head of the government is also really scary, because you know that they will be radical, so many things can change. So it's a bit weird right now to see that, and many other countries are watching France to see what's going to happen, because France in Europe is a really big country and it's an important country in European Union. We are waiting for the new elections to see what's going to happen, but we are just waiting right now. In all this mess, we also have some funny things that are happening. Like for now, getting in touch with the politics in France is like watching a Netflix show. For example, the head of Les Républicains, the conservative party in France, the right, told on TV that he was open to do an alliance with the far right and to be on the same list as them. And all his party was against that, so they decided to exclude him, to ban him from the party, even if he was the chef. And he locked himself in the headquarters of the party, and the other political figures of the party had to come to make him unlock the headquarters, because he was like locked inside, like a kid who doesn't want to let his toy go. It was extremely funny to see that, and people are saying that one of the political female leader of the party slapped him in the face, but we don't know about that, we are not sure, but I think it's just extremely funny to see. So we also have a few distractions in this political mess. Crazy to see that political figures, sometimes people who wanted to be a president a few years ago, are acting like kids. And this is a bit scary, even if it's funny. So that's what's happening in France right now. We don't know yet which party will be elected in 2 weeks. All the left side of the parliament has created like an alliance to go against the far right. So it will probably be left alliance versus far right. And the political party of Macron, of the president, I'm not sure they will win a lot, because many people are not liking Macron anymore right now. Tell me in the comments if in your country people are talking about what's happening in France. Like, do you hear about the French politics on TV or in the newspaper? I would love to know if it's something that is spread all over the world, or it's only talked about in France. I want to know. Tell me in the comments. And also tell me if you like this video about the politics in France, and if you want to learn more about the political context or the system in France, how the country works in France. And of course, if you want to explore Paris and discover the French way of life, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. I post every single day, so see you tomorrow.